Yo, Palooza.
Welcome to another edition of Chocobo Chasers. I am G, and as always, I am joined by the Chocobros, Eric and Dash. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty
Fantastic.
good.
It's
Awesome.
good to be back.
Hell yeah. We're having a little bit of a milestone day today. We're celebrating a year of our YouTube channel. We're doing our second annual prediction Palooza, which feels weird. We got a fun message in our socials today, which hopefully is going to bring some fun things going forward in the pod. We can't talk about it too much yet, but exciting things coming. So, as we always typically go ahead and do, we're going to start the episode off with what are you playing? Dash, I'm actually going to have you go ahead and kick us off this week.
All right. So I'm proud to report that I have 100% completed Hades, or at least achievement-wise, I got it. So
Let's go.
finally, I think that was like 70 hours total worth of playing Hades to get
Getting
all
your
those
money's
achievements.
worth. God damn.
I mean, it's like, what, $20 games now or something like that?
I think it's $20 or $30.
Actually, it might be 40, yeah, 30-ish. Yeah.
Even still.
So yeah, about 70 hours to do all that. Then I moved on to doing Hades 2, which obviously with it being early access, there's no achievements, so I can't really track progression or completion in any sort of way. But I mean, now I have a bit more hands-on experience with what Hades 2 has to offer compared to like the 25-30 minutes I played before.
Okay.
And I can give a much better, impression on what I've experienced with Hades 2. And just like a lot of people have said, like on social media when they've been talking about Hades 2 when it first came out, this is just kind of everything that you would want from a sequel, because it's reinvents so much from the first game, and there's nothing that was like copied over. So there's new currency systems, new ways to power up, new enemies, new zones, all this kind of stuff. So there really isn't it feels like a brand new game, which is what you want from a sequel, right?
Hell
But
yeah.
I think we kind of get used to the whole thing with COD, where it's a new game, but it feels like it could have just been the expansion pack because it's just built on the same foundation that the previous one was, or EA Sports games just being a roster update, essentially. So, this is what I want from a sequel. It's definitely what it should be. Still haven't done a full run for Hades 2, and this might be kind of like what it was for Hades 1, where it's going to take me some time to actually do it because it's a much harder game. And I have to say, Hades 2 probably has one of my favorite boss fights I've ever experienced, because the second boss is Scylla and the Sirens. So it's like basically they're a band.
Okay.
The singer, guitarist, and drummer. And their, I guess, boss soundtrack is playing in the background while you're fighting them. And when you eliminate, let's say, the drummer, it removes the drums from the soundtrack.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you can take out the guitarist and you'll just still hear the singing and the drumming going on in the background. So as you're eliminating each part of the band, it takes more out. But that's actually a really challenging fight, so I have not gone past it in all my attempts so far. And there's also two paths to take. So typically, the main way you're going to be going is you have to fight your way down into hell to take on Kronos. But then they also have a separate path where you can fight your way up to the surface, but that's more time-based, and you're taking damage as you're doing it until there's an incantation that I have to get resources for to be able to survive longer, I guess, up there to be able to do more in the surface. But there's other types of material that you can get from the surface, which you use for your incantations and crafting and stuff. There's a lot of crafting, and the way you can bond with people, you can give them like bath salts and bathe with them. So far I've only bathed with the ghost. Everybody else either says they don't, they're too busy or don't want to. So I've tried like Hecate or Nemesis, who's like the big muscle mommy. Neither one of them wanted to bathe. I know it's possible because I've seen it on Twitter, but that's just a work in progress. Besides Hades, I've been playing a bit more Kingdom Hearts because I got reminded when G posted his Kingdom Hearts 2 strategy guide on social medias. I'm just like, I got myself together. I'm just like, you know what? Kingdom Hearts is good. Let's play Kingdom Hearts. So I played quite a bit of it over the Memorial Day weekend.
Hell yeah.
I picked up where I left off from basically just getting into Traverse Town and completed up to Halloween Town. And I really appreciate some of the level design that Kingdom Hearts 1 had, because as we know, the later Kingdom Hearts games, they kind of just have like a giant arrow to guide you to where you need to
Yeah.
be. And like, you especially see it in the first couple worlds, not so much in the later worlds, but the first couple, they put all these little like secrets. Like Wonderland is especially fun to try and find like all the
You get
different
all the
things that you
chests, like, yeah.
Traverse Town's pretty good with that. A little bit of that, and maybe the jungle area. And then after that, it's just kind of, there really isn't the secrets. It kind of reminds me. I'm like, I remember how much of a pain in the ass some of these zones were for me as a kid, because internet wasn't as big back then. So as a kid, you're not looking up everything on the internet. You're just trying to figure out everything out for yourself. And I remember just going around in circles at Traverse Town the first time I played, trying to figure out how I'm supposed to advance this plot to the point where I can actually continue on. But, obviously you can see some of the stuff that needed to be improved upon, and they definitely did that with Kingdom Hearts 2.
Absolutely.
But there's still that charm left in Kingdom Hearts 1 that I can appreciate.
Yeah. Is that going to be it for you
for
this week?
That's it for me.
So I'll actually go ahead and
Ansem fight beat my ass as a kid.
Oh,
I didn't want to interrupt that.
tough.
Dude. And you had to fight him like 4 times. He used to beat dude.
And in the original PS2 version, you cannot skip cutscenes. So you have to sit through that whole... there's a whole running joke about, like, you're never taking Kyrie's heart.
Yeah.
Like, because you have to sit there and listen to that every goddamn time.
That one fight, is it Hollow Bastion, where you fight Riku?
Yeah.
Where you find all the... Dude, he beat my ass in that fight. Dude, that and the Sephiroth fight in that game.
So Sephiroth is meant to be like totally OP. Like, you have to know a strategy in order to beat him in both games. Honestly, he's insanely tough. It's funny that Dash mentions Kingdom Hearts. I've actually also been playing Kingdom Hearts this week. I was inspired by Dash because I saw him playing, so I've started collecting strategy guides just as a weird hobby. And so I have Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and Birth by Sleep already. And yeah, so I just was like, you know what? Dash is playing Kingdom Hearts. He's probably going to talk about it this week. I'm going to play Kingdom Hearts. So started it up. I'm about level 35-ish right now. And we're probably pretty close to about the same length. I just finished Monstro, but I've only done Agrabah and Monstro. So I still have to do Neverland Atlantica and Halloween Town. Yep. Yeah, so I'm a little bit... We're probably pretty close, just depending. You don't have to do those, obviously, in a specific order. But I'm just like Dash said, I'm reminded how wonderful the game is. It really is kind of just a template for a lot of Square's games that kind of came after it. And it's still just, it's awesome. Like, I was thinking so much while I've been playing it this week that it would be really hard, I think, to recommend Kingdom Hearts to maybe someone who has never played it, because it's a very odd subject. Let's combine Final Fantasy and Disney worlds, but it works. Sora is an interesting character. Riku is a great character. Like, the way that it works is very unconventional, but it does.
Reminds me of that one random post I saw on Facebook where it was just like the picture just said, "Stop being consumed by darkness. You're scaring away the hoes." And I just shared it saying Sora the Riku.
Yeah. It's just a lot of fun. I really don't have any complaints about Kingdom Hearts. And Kingdom Hearts 2 is literally just an expansion on the awesomeness that is 1. It is everything kind of bigger and better. It's kind of exactly what you look for in a sequel, similar to Hades 2. I mean, it's just, let's make the game more than what the first one was. So, great job. In addition to that, I have actually picked up a new game this week, X Defiant, Ubisoft's new shooter. It's a pretty good amount of fun. I get my ass kicked almost every single game. It's kind of to be expected because it's supposed to be Ubisoft's version of COD.
Do I have to like download it off of like Ubisoft's store?
I would download it for console because you don't have to. And it's free to play, so you don't have to have Xbox, or Xbox Live or whatever, Game Pass or PlayStation Plus to play it with other people. So It is fun. There are some pretty interesting game modes. From what I've played so far, there's not just like a straight death match, and I wish that there was. There's not just kill everybody. So there is like controlled zones, and then you kill each other. Like and if you control, the 3 zones, then your kills are worth 3 points as opposed to just the 1. So there are some really fun game modes. There is a game mode that's very similar to something that I've played in Overwatch, where you have to. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. Basically, there's a robot that walks a route, and you have to basically act as its bodyguard and help it get to a certain spot.
Oh yeah, that's like one of the new modes they added with Overwatch 2, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah.
That was basically Exoprimal too. That was the game mode for Exoprimal.
And you hit 3 checkpoints like doing this traversal, and if you hit a checkpoint, your time gets extended. So the idea is to hit it, with however much time left, and then the second people, they just get a time that they have to beat or lose to, and it's really fun. So the one thing that I don't love about X Defiant is the game, or the gun progression is incredibly slow. I also haven't played a ton. I usually play like 2 to 3 games of it at a time, just because I don't want to get overloaded by one single player or one multiplayer FPS game and then just get sucked in, and I don't want to play anything else. I think this
backlog.
game, yeah, I think this game would be a ton of fun if you had a lot of people to play with. If you had a group of like 6, I think together would make this game incredibly fun. Wink, wink, guys.
I mean, just hit me up, of course.
That's what the Baby Bird boys have been playing. If you saw us in the thing Saturday, I didn't play it, but they were all playing it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend. I'm excited to kind of see how things move forward. One thing that's interesting is that every class in the game is from a different Ubisoft game. So they have Far Cry, they have Splinter Cell, they have The Division. There is a Watch Dogs one too that you have to unlock. And they do make it like pretty transparent on how to unlock like new weapons and everything, and you just have to use like the first version of the shotgun and get so many point blank kills to unlock the second version. Same thing with the sniper, and they give you like 7 preloaded weapons that you can use, weapon classes. So it's like shotgun, assault rifle, LMG, things like that. And so it's a lot of fun. Would definitely recommend if you haven't played it yet. So play to that. Played some more Madden just as my kind of brain turn off game, and then continued playing MGS4. I'm really taking my time with this one, but I'm hoping that maybe this weekend I can put a legit dent into it, because it is. I haven't finished it yet, but MGS4 is shaping up to probably be my favorite of the series, just because of how well it has looped in every other game in the series so far. And I will say I didn't love MGS3 as much, but after playing 4 as much as I have now, and how much like Easter eggs and how much cameos and things like that you're seeing from the characters who were included in that game, it has given me a new appreciation for it. And not that I didn't like it, but I didn't like it as much as the first 2. Now it might be closer to like neck and neck with 1, but 2 is still leading for me. I think 4 is probably going to end up leapfrogging it. We'll have to see as soon as I finish.
That's like Metal Gear Solid 4 is that one game I wish I could wipe my memory of and experience fresh again, because it's such a perfect cap to the saga.
I cannot wait until the Metal Gear collection comes to PS5 so that I can play this like optimized on a PS5 instead of having to emulate it, which that sucks. But it's if there was any other way to play, if I could pay for this game, I would do so without question. Like I would have no problem doing that, but it's just not available. Eric, what about you, man? What have you been playing?
So it's been pretty light for me. It's been a busy week and a half. So I had some family come in for Memorial Day weekend. So I hope you guys enjoyed your Memorial Day as much as I did. I wasn't home really to game, except for at night. And that was mostly just Valorant with the boys. Me and my boy Morph, we got back in the swing of things. He was on vacation. So he came back and we played Valorant almost all day on Monday. It was fantastic.
Hell yeah. That's exactly what holidays are for, man.
Just all that. I played some more single player Tarkov. I am further along in this playthrough of single player Tarkov than I've ever been in any wipe. And as you get towards some of these end quests, I can see why I've never had a problem quitting at the points I do in wipe, because it just kind of becomes a little monotonous. And then you got to play where all the absolute chads play, which is like Shoreline. You got to play on fucking labs. Shoreline, Lighthouse, Labs. I don't need to play those maps because there's players who are just way better than me on those. So I just get dunked on.
Reminds me of the late game missions in DMZ mode for God.
Yeah, it's nice not getting fucking one tapped by some absolute Chad who's hidden somewhere, and it's like, okay, cool. Like I'm actually having a good time fighting fighting some AI. And AI can be pretty challenging if you get mods and stuff like that. You can make it really like the AI can jump peek you like people would do in actual fucking Tarkov. It's a lot of fun doing that. So I spent a lot of time doing that. Built up some more of my hideout, made some cash, did some quests, and I'm probably going to try to see this all the way through and get what everybody calls Kappa, and that's one of like just after you play a lot of the quests of the game, you get this secure container that you can keep more stuff in during raids. Which I don't know why I'm playing to keep it if that's the last thing I'm going to do, because it won't come in handy for me. But this weekend I don't have a lot planned, so I plan on getting through some stuff. I'm going to play some Senua's Saga. I'm going to play the God of War DLC. I plan on getting all that stuff hashed out. I don't have a lot of time to play during the week right now.
Well, obviously, again, congratulations to you. You know, freshly engaged, new promotion at work. My boy's killing it right now.
Yeah, so it's 2024, the year of the Eric.
The
Chinese have the year of the dog or the dragon or monkey or rat. We have the year of the Eric.
We do, and that is this year. So we obviously have a lot of fun doing this. We did our first one last year, talking about our preview of every conference. And the nice part about these is that they always lump these together, which I do appreciate, because you get to compare, like obviously Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and I'm sure we'll probably get an imminent announcement sometime over the next like few days that Nintendo will have one, sometime within the following week. So let's start this off. We're going to talk Summer Game Fest first. So this year, Summer Game Fest is taking place. The actual day of Summer Game Fest is June 8th. So this falls on a Saturday, which is very convenient, 11:30 a.m. Really, this is pretty awesome, just in terms of being able to. A lot of these times, these shows end up being at really inopportune times for people to be able to go ahead and view them. So we are, the women-led studio portion of Summer Game Fest. The actual like main event of Summer Game Fest is June 7th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. So 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be shown at the YouTube Theater. You're going to have the partners for this year's show. Some of the heavy hitters in today's, gaming space. We've got 2K, we've got Annapurna, Atlas, Capcom, Devolver, Epic, Meta. Like there's a ton of just huge Private Division, Riot, Sega, so many Xbox, PlayStation, basically everybody here.
Except for Square.
And Nintendo. But again, we'll probably expect to see Nintendo potentially showing up. So let's go ahead and let's talk. What would you guys like to see? What would we like to see? Not necessarily what we expect from this year's Summer Game Fest. And Dash, I'll actually have you go ahead and kick us off.
Let me see. Looking at the studios, wouldn't surprise me that we've been hearing some rumors, hearsay for 2K, and I'm thinking maybe Borderlands 4. I've been hearing, some rumbling that there might be a Borderlands 4 coming out there. So, let's see. Deep Silver, didn't they do like I don't like it. PlayStation, it's weird that, I'm wondering if PlayStation's going to be holding some stuff off, like they're bigger now. We got the PlayStation Showcase like right around the corner too.
So the PlayStation Showcase is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's coming before Summer Game Fest, so it is entirely possible. Like they
I
could
think
be...
the summer I think their showcase tomorrow. I don't think they're going to make any big announcements or anything there. I think they're just going to give us updates about games they've already announced and are expected to probably release within this year. For I think Steam might show a bit more of that. It's like it looks almost like Overwatch. It's like a hero shooter lane based one. But I know that there's been like leaks of like the early build of that. So I think that they're going to show a bit more for the Steam, or for Valve Steam's little Overwatch competitor. Riot Games. I don't think don't they have the fighting game still coming, or is that out yet?
So let's go ahead and let's take a look. Yeah. So Riot Games' most recent, so obviously League, Valorant. They have been...
Capcom, I expect to show the next Resident Evil, though. I think we're going to get the announcement.
So for Resident Evil 9, I think you're right. There's been a lot of rumors that Leon Kennedy is going to be the protagonist, which I'm all for, but we got to get Jill back in there, man. Like, why have we not had Jill?
Give us the Dead Island, or whatever the last movie was, where you just had, like, all of them come together.
It'd be very, very cool. Get previous guests on the show, Jeff Shine in there, which would be awesome. Dash, I'll kind of add on to yours a little bit. So I think 2K is going to show up, which they're one of the listed partners. I think the new BioShock is going to be shown. I think that it's been obviously a while,
a long time
since Infinite was released, and we know for a fact that they're working on it. Like, they have publicly come out and said, we're working on the next iteration of BioShock. It would be a great time. It has been 11 years since BioShock Infinite, which is a crazy amount of time for, like, in between. Game development takes a lot of time now, but that isn't just an insane amount of time. So I'll say BioShock Infinite is definitely one that could go ahead and show up. Warner Brother Games is going to show up. I am going to say 2. I think Dune is going to end up showing some more gameplay there. But I think we're also going to get a second look at Wonder Woman. We really only got just the reveal of it and nothing else. So I really think we might be getting some like additional info.
With Ubisoft, do you think we might see more for Beyond Good and Evil 2?
It's probably all Outlaws, if I had to guess. Outlaws and Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. PlayStation is such a weird one. PlayStation and Xbox both. Because, so Xbox, like, showcase is technically kind of like part of Summer Game Fest, because their showcase is on Sunday. And so it really kind of just ties into the whole event itself. PlayStation, I don't know. I think one thing that we may see, and I don't know, because Square's not listed here, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we start to see some of the Final Fantasy games becoming multi-platform. And maybe that's just a separate announcement that Square makes. Aside from all this, they didn't want to take just the actual, showtime up.
We might actually get the Dragon Age Dreadwolf, I think.
We're getting Dragon Age Dreadwolf. It's like almost there's a lot of leaks about it.
So awesome.
The rumors be swirling.
Annapurna Interactive is making a Blade Runner game, which it was kind of the highlight of the indie showcase just months ago. And I feel like they announced it, it was there, and literally haven't heard anything else. So I'm really hoping it ends up, potentially showing up here.
Oh, I just noticed Boca Game Studio.
I have no idea who that is.
So they're the ones like from one of the like creative directors of Silent Hill. So you remember Slitterhead? That was like that trailer from like 3 years ago.
Yeah. So
that's them. So maybe we might actually see some gameplay and what's going to been going on with that, because we've heard nothing about Slitterhead since then.
Yeah, that is pretty wild, actually. Nice. That's a nice call out. Any others that we might potentially think? Because we're going to shift this here a little bit. We're going to talk about games we would love to see.
Let's go ahead and talk about games we would love to see.
Well, with Capcom being there, of course, there's always Dino Crisis, right?
I was going to say Dino Crisis.
I can't say Kingdom Hearts 4 because Square's not going to be there.
So I think we are like on the cusp of Kingdom Hearts 4 news. It's been 2 years since the announcement. It was a very impressive first trailer. Honestly, the game graphically looks like such a huge step up from what we've seen, even from Kingdom Hearts 3, which looks great.
Yep.
They might just be waiting to do a special Kingdom Hearts event. Totally fine with it. Let them have their own spotlight. Capcom, we talked about Resident Evil 9. It came out that Resident Evil obviously has done a really, really impressive job on their remakes. Sounds like they're working on Resident Evil 0 and Code Veronica, which Code Veronica is the game in the entire series that needs to be remade most of all. It is the game that has probably received the least amount of love, and there can be so much tie-in, especially if the rumors are to believe that they're also remaking Resident Evil 1 in the 2, 3, 4 kind of over-the-shoulder view. So Capcom, Dino Crisis, I'm always going to put it into the universe. That's always what I want. It is a game that needs to be remade, and I think that enough people are going to start asking for it eventually that it is going to go ahead and show up. But I'm going to say a game I would love to see is a new Onimusha game. We're in a time of samurais being huge in mainstream media. And it's not just video games, obviously. Shogun has been arguably the best television show this entire year. And we still have shows like The Boys and House of the Dragon coming out, but honestly, it's going to be tough to beat. And so this archetype is just front and center right now. And we've had Rise of the Ronin. We've got Assassin's Creed Shadows coming. Like, Ghost of Tsushima launched on PC with some really incredible performance. I'm impressed at how strong it can run, like 150 FPS, which is insane.
It's like one of the first ports I've seen that has been so...
Yeah. Just impressive stuff. So Onimusha, that's my one I'm going to put into the universe this time because it would just be so out of left field, but it would be so welcome too. Because Onimusha was just... It was a class of its own. If it's a game you haven't played, highly recommend it. Available for PlayStation 2. There is an Onimusha Warlords game available on PlayStation 4 as well, so you can play it on more modern consoles. Would highly recommend.
Watch PlayStation make their announcement for Ghost of Tsushima 2 at the Summer Game Fest too.
And honestly,
I think it's coming.
I think it's coming. It's just debatable if it's going to show up as State of Play or
I don't think
Summer
the State
Game
of Play
Fest.
is going to be it. I think if we can go in the State of Play predictions, I can say it's going to be anything that's predicted to probably be coming out this year or coming soon, TM, or already announced. So I'm thinking, we know that there's going to be a Silent Hill transmission tomorrow too, but I think the State of Play will also show some stuff for Silent Hill 2. I'm expecting maybe Death Stranding 2, and there's that multiplayer FPS shooter that PlayStation announced last year that some people have been talking about called Concord. And we only got the trailer, and it's supposed to be released in 2024. So at this point, we have to get some sort of like gameplay reveal.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a solid transition for us to talk about PlayStation. So I think we are, just like you said, I think Silent Hill 2 is going to be one. I think it's possible Metal Gear Solid 3 makes its presence shown.
I think that could be Summer Game Fest too, though. Konami's going to be there.
Are they?
I thought I saw them in the list.
Not seeing them.
Maybe
Potentially as a PlayStation 1. I think Marathon is going to show up. I think we're in a time right now where people are trying to capitalize on big free-to-play
extraction shooters.
I think it would make a lot of sense for Marathon to show up.
I thought that got canceled or something.
They're apparently going to show a ton of VR games.
Which is they did mention
some VR for the State of Play.
I'm not upset.
30-minute broadcast of 14 PS5 and PSVR 2 titles.
So I'm wondering if they're just focusing on trying to make their games playable on both, as opposed to making VR-specific games. We'll see. I would like to finally get some information on Spider-Man 2 DLC. or
that'd be great to get an
the
announcement
Venom
there.
spin-off game. Like, I think that would make a lot of sense because I feel like a lot of the source code and everything is probably already there. I don't necessarily know that, you're making a Miles Morales, length game, so it's probably not going to be too intense. And Spider-Man 1 and 2 are almost like identical in length too, so I would think that this is probably going to be pretty identical to Miles Morales in length.
Yeah, they made a bigger map, but then they kind of populated it with like less activities.
Yeah. The creative decisions obviously are, and I get their intentions though. They're trying not to overbloat, and they're trying to.
It didn't feel like it was overdone. At least, like I felt like there was just enough content for it, and I didn't feel like I was tired of I have to go here and do this, then they go here and do that kind of stuff.
It was probably the least taxing platinum I've ever gotten, aside from like a Telltale game, because you just get that after finishing the game. But it was pretty simple. Anything else you guys think might be showing up at PlayStation?
For the state of play.
We're talking state of play, yes.
Okay. I think I've pretty much thrown out what I think.
So I do think that we are going to get announcements of games that are not coming out this year, but I don't think that we're necessarily going to get like release timelines. We might get a tease. And I think that would be a great idea, just to give people kind of a sense of, hey, this is what's coming. Obviously we've had studios that have been working on things. We know Santa Monica is working on a new Wolverine would be a great one, and obviously
didn't they leak a lot of the build last year?
So yeah, and people have leaked on YouTube like playing the game itself. And I've seen a little bit of clips. I saw enough to know that I'm going to love the game. I really don't need to see anything else.
And that was about a year ago, huh?
Right. And
so
the
they
game
probably got it. It's probably going to get shown.
Yeah, and the game itself was announced, I think, 3 years ago. Which again, development timelines, they're a hell of a thing right now.
Like part of the big leak was like estimated timelines for releases too. Like I think like the X-Men game would have been like 2026, 2027 according to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could potentially be shown, and it sucks that we get stuff leaked. And we'll talk about that a little bit with Xbox, because something got leaked there that I would have been really excited to be surprised to see. We also have Naughty Dog is working on a game which is a brand new IP. It would be really exciting to see them work on something, because the last time that they worked on a new IP, we got The Last of Us, and obviously that's a huge bar to be able to try and measure up to. But even before that, they were working on the Uncharted, and literally all 5 Uncharted games are, ceremoniously, like they receive accolades. They're huge.
Before that was with Jack and Daxter too.
So obviously they've made a shift in terms of more realism as opposed to
cinematic.
Yeah. Which I'm a huge fan of. I love narrative-driven, heavy games, and they just strike a chord there. Another studio which we haven't heard from in a really, really long time is Bend. Like they worked on Days Gone, and then what have they been working on since? There were some rumors that they were going to be working on an Uncharted game for a minute. I know they pitched Days Gone 2, and at first it sounded like it was going to go through, and then they decided not to move forward with it. Bend now it's been Days Gone released in 2019. So it's been 5 years. We have no announcement. We have no nothing from them. What are they working on? I don't know. I'm very, very excited to see, potentially to see what they're working on. But I think Silent Hill 2 is going to be, I think that's like 100%. Dash, I think you got that right on the money. So I was alluding to a game that got leaked a little bit earlier, and what I was referring to, so Xbox Showcase, I think, I'll say this just to start, I think Xbox is going to show a lot more than PlayStation will at this conference. I think that Xbox...
They need to, honestly.
They do, but PlayStation needs to as well. We're at a point now where nobody's releasing anything really, I think over the summer, there's really not any huge releases that are coming. We do know that Xbox obviously has Avowed in the pipeline. We know they've got Indiana Jones in the pipeline. We know they've got like some other games. There have been a lot of rumors about games that are going to be showing up. The one that I keep referring to that got leaked, a new Doom game, which kind of sucks. I would have loved to just be surprised. And in this day and age in the internet, that's just, unfortunately, it's not.
You got to disconnect from Twitter if you want to be surprised nowadays.
I hate myself too much to do that. I will say that I think that this is absolutely welcome because I love the Doom games. They are just like full pumping adrenaline. Let me go fucking kill something. This is insane. Doom and Doom Eternal, like Eternal literally just takes a step up from Doom, and it's a really hard game too.
Oh yeah, that was much harder than the 2016 Doom.
But it's also just, it's even more gruesome and it's wild and it's everything that Doom kind of should be. Doom, this new one is supposedly called Doom: The Dark Ages. Very interested to see kind of what twist are they going to be doing a medieval Doom? Like there's
That's what they've been saying, and if anything, they could do like a prequel kind of to the story, because if you play like the Doom Eternal DLC, it kind of closes the story for the Doomslayer at that point,
right?
So I think we go to like before when the Doomslayer joins the Argent Knights and stuff like that. So he'll be fighting with more of those kind of weapons. And it's kind of funny because it's not new to like the whole medieval type first person shooter. Because back in like when Doom, the original Doom was a thing, they also had a game called, I think it was like Hexen, right?
Hexen was fucking awesome.
I think it was like one of the last Xbox showcases. Phil Spencer was wearing a Hexen shirt.
Yeah.
So maybe he was teasing something. Who knows?
Give me a Doom game in like Army of Darkness type setting. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, we do have that indie game coming out where
you
it's
can
like
ride the dirt bike and just fucking go around mowing down. Like that seems like it would be a ton of fun, but it might.
That developer makes some really funny videos because he's like, you're just in a tank shooting down castles and stuff and driving through medieval like villages, huts and stuff. Oh
hell yeah!
Great concept. I'm glad, and I think it's like a really small team, or maybe even just one guy making it. Apparently,
yeah, it's only a couple.
That's impressive. But yeah, so we got Doom leaked, which again, it just sucks, but we know it's coming. I'm excited to actually finally get a look at it, and maybe it is like very similar to Hexen, which would be absolutely welcomed. Another game that I fully expect to show at the showcase is Gears 6. They have been working on this game for a while. There's been a lot of rumors that they're potentially, shifting to open world Gears of War. I know that you guys, I think, have talked about that maybe not potentially being the best idea.
It's like that was the main criticism for Gears 5, and they're like, we're going to improve the open
world. We're going to do this
like,
even harder.
It's like, okay, we can make it better. I'm like, the problem is it is open world. You can't really make it better because what made Gears 1 through 3 really fun, or maybe even 4, is because you had
linear.
You had the branch pathways and stuff, but yeah, it was linear, but it had really well designed areas, and you can really focus on that if you make a linear game. When you make it open world, some of that level design kind of goes away, and it's just you're finding generic areas over and over again with like no thought put behind them. Or if it's like Gears 5, you're just going from point A to point B with nothing going on to get to like that linear area.
So one thing that's very interesting, so back in April, someone tweeted to Liam McIntyre, who is part of the Gears franchise, plays JD, was
Spartacus.
Yeah, so they reached out and said, what's happening to JD is his death canon, because obviously there's the option for him to die in Gears 5. And he said, I have no idea, but I think Gears of War will tell us all in June. Well, guess what? Summer Games Fest and Xbox Showcase are happening literally at that time. So something to potentially look at. Any other games? I'd love to see Still Goes the Deep.
South of Midnight.
Yeah. I'm Clockwork Revolution. I'm going to keep saying it till I'm blue in the face.
State of Decay 3, Stalker 3.
Fable.
Fable.
Wait, they're working on New Perfect Dark, too.
It's apparently in some
They announced that like how many years ago?
Yeah. It's apparently in some pretty rough...
I heard that. I was like,
okay, never mind.
Like, they have nothing to show for it after all these years. That's the problem.
Bethesda's got well, I think, Bethesda had the bad news of closing Arcane Austin. So I think they've got to come out with some type of news. So they'll probably announce some stuff regarding Starfield, the DLC, probably.
Probably, yeah.
The creation kit's coming probably sooner than, they're the type, well, they'll announce something and then, hey, here it is type of thing.
Yeah.
Besides Starfield just wasn't ready, so they cooked it for another year. But I mean, Fallout 4's announcement,
it was like coming 3 months.
It's coming in October.
Yeah. I remember, and as somebody who wasn't a huge fan of the franchise, my buddy who I happened to work with at the job I was at the time was like freaking out because he was like, this is coming out so soon. And I was like,
I got
crap.
the Pip-Boy edition of that too.
Really? That's awesome.
I got the Pip-Boy somewhere in my storage.
Valuable right now, man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That was when they had like the whole app you could put on your phone. You could just put your phone in the Pip-Boy and use it to manage your... It was a really cool concept, and I
Fallout
really enjoyed it.
It was pretty fun, man. I enjoyed that. Playing them. That's the only mobile game I've ever played. I didn't play for very long, but got rid of it soon after. But
look at Eric diving into mobile games.
I could see we maybe get
10
another...
years ago. Literally 10 years ago, because that's when fucking Fallout 4 came out, I think, or 15.
It felt so much more recently. 10 years, goddamn.
I think it was 2015 it came out. So
one game we haven't talked about that I don't know if Saber's going to be. I don't think they're a part of Summer Games Fest, but I'm just going to throw this also out into the universe. If we can get more footage of Jurassic Park Survival, for those who haven't seen the trailer, it is incredible. It basically looks very similar to like Jurassic Park meets Alien Isolation. The game looks incredible. It takes place literally the day after the original Jurassic Park film. An original story. You could see some of the dinos in the trailer. Looked absolutely awesome. So I'm really, really hoping that we potentially see more on that, because that is absolutely one of my most anticipated games, and it's wishlist like available on I think almost all platforms: Epic, Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox. So I think they did that with the understanding that it's going to release sooner rather than later, and that is, they had gameplay showing like in that trailer too. It was in engine and everything, and it looked great. So, any other thoughts
Black
for
Ops 6.
Xbox? That's right.
Yeah.
Is it Black Ops 6 or Black Ops?
It is.
That's what they're calling it. It's kind of weird because they kind of moved away from the 1, 2, 3, 4 with Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe they'll go back to the numeric.
Pretty wild concept. As Saddam Hussein's like the main bad guy in the game, isn't he? Or something like that.
That's what they're rumoring.
That's
it's supposed to be based on the Gulf War, essentially.
Yeah.
So
let's go look.
What I'm curious on is the zombies. That's probably what's going to end up pulling me back in, as it does every year, is the zombies mode.
So, Saddam Hussein and Margaret Thatcher both appear in the Black Ops 6 trailer.
And George Bush. What in the fuck?
Yeah, it's so it looks like he's going to be in it. It's crazy to think that that's like that's some balls on those guys. That's pretty controversial to do,
I'm just thinking of zombies with Dick Cheney now, and I'm just...
Somebody's like saying, like, imagine having like a version of No Russians, but it's just flying the plane into the Twin Towers or some shit.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Imagine that this Call of Duty's controversial mission probably is going to involve 9/11.
That is... I don't think it would work. I mean, obviously, it's the worst American tragedy to happen in our entire lifetime. I just don't think they have the balls for it. I don't think, especially Bethesda coming off of the shit show that they're in right now. I couldn't see it. I could maybe see like trying to prevent it from happening, but I just couldn't. I couldn't see them actually creating a mission that is like somehow taking part.
You play as a Secret Service man that walks into the school and tells George Bush.
I could
He
not.
plays the guy Dick Cheney shoots on the hunting trip.
Yeah.
We're just fucking coming up with the worst scenarios possible.
Oh my God.
Can I be the Halliburton CEO who makes tons off of the tanks getting bought?
Yeah.
And the cruise missiles.
Yeah. Just like, my God. So speaking of Black Ops 6, the rumor is that it's going to launch day one on Game Pass. I'm very, very interested to see how this impacts their sales numbers. Is Game Pass? I have spoken at length about I don't necessarily understand the long-term viability of Game Pass because its sustainability is so predicated on it always growing, and at some point, that growth is going to just plateau.
It kind of is lately.
It is right now. Yeah, and I fully expect it's get with Call of Duty hopping on it day one. It's going to shoot up.
It's going to shoot up.
But
that's what they're banking on.
Right. But the thing is, like, your other games are also going on there, and it's like basically like, oh, I'm paying for COD, but I also get to play all these other games for free. That's as a generic Game Pass user, that's what I'm thinking. I'm paying for COD, but I also just get to play Hellblade for free. I don't know how it's sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
For this reason, that's why I could never see Activision pulling COD off of PlayStation, because they get to sell the copy at full price, full $70 game, and they get basically all of that money. Obviously, PlayStation gets a part of it for licensing and everything too, and you bring people to your platform. But it's going to be very odd playing COD and it says Xbox Game Studios, PlayStation. I mean, you can already play Grounded and Sea of Thieves on PlayStation, so we're going to start to see more and more of Xbox Studios games transition over there. There's been some rumors talking about this holiday season we're potentially going to see, some of these larger franchises like Halo and potentially Gears of War moving over to PlayStation, which I would enjoy. I'd love to be able to go ahead and play those on PlayStation. But they're also playable on Game Pass, so I can just hop on my PC and play them too. So that's what Xbox's point is. Like, why would you pay full price for a game on your platform when if you already have a PC or a Series X or S, you can hop over here and just pay $15 for Game Pass. I do think we are right on the cusp of seeing Game Pass also increase in price. I think it's going to go up to like $17, $18 a month. It's just, again, sustainability. I don't see how it's long-term viable. I don't understand. But
it's kind of like one of those things where you just eat the cost because it's like the Costco hot dog. It gets people in the door, right?
Well, unless you're Eric, and then PlayStation Plus goes up in price, and you just stop paying for it, and you never do it again.
PlayStation Plus library it's good. It's not fantastic by any means, but there's a lot of good stuff in there.
So I do that with a few of the streaming services I have.
I will say PlayStation Plus. So one awesome part about this time right now is that sales are going to start going on. The Steam sale is going to be coming up over the next few weeks. The PlayStation Days of Play sale is going on right now. Xbox is kind of their version of that as well. And PlayStation made a whole huge blog post talking about some of the new games that are coming to PlayStation Plus if you're part of the premium. One game that I am so incredibly excited about is Tomb Raider Legend, which is my very favorite Tomb Raider game. As someone who honestly loves every Tomb Raider that I've ever played, this game is the perfect depiction of Lara Croft. The new Survivors trilogy is what they refer to it as, was more of Lara becoming Lara, and by the final game she's Lara Croft. But these games were more of a much more established and mature Lara Croft, and it had a very mature story. But it was a little campy, kind of like the original games were. If you haven't played Legend, would highly recommend it. It's going to be available. If you have an Xbox, it's also available via backwards compatibility as well.
They're all on Steam too.
They are all on Steam. I have Legend and Underworld, which are
I got them all on my Steam. I got that whole collection.
Hell yeah.
Also, they put Sly Cooper. They're adding Sly Cooper with that too.
They are. So we're
Remember
starting.
When that was going to be a movie,
and then they just forgot about it.
Yep. I heard Ape Escape 3 might be coming too because it just got a rating for PS4.
That would be.
Wish the people who made Halo would have forgotten to.
Halo?
Fucking show sucks.
Halo, the Paramount show.
Yeah, the TV show. Obviously, I love the games, but the TV show's just dog shit.
Oh, I made a tweet about it, but you know that new Netflix movie called Atlas?
What is it?
It's got
It's
J-Lo.
horrible. Yeah, it's horrible, but like the concept could have just been Titanfall. So I'm like, why didn't Netflix just work with Respawn and make a Titanfall movie? Because like the robot's like, I'm gonna protect you like the whole time. Like, it reminded me very heavily of Titanfall 2, where you just had that robot companion.
Just very crappy.
It's crazy. Furiosa's bombing at the box office right now because it was fucking awesome. Chris Hemsworth acted his ass off in that
I think
movie.
it's kind of like, that's just the state of the movie industry, because tickets just are more expensive, concessions and all that shit. So if I'm gonna go see a movie, I want to make sure it's
unless you're Eric and you only go on Tuesdays.
I go on Tuesdays.
$5.
It's $6 now. It's $6 Tuesday now.
Oh, okay.
Because of shout out to Bidenomics. All right. It was $5 for the fucking tickets when Trump was in. That's all I'm gonna say.
Whatever happened to my $5 footlong?
And no, so I mean, but it's pretty sweet because all summer they're giving away free popcorn again. And it used to be, but it's a small popcorn. I mean, it's probably like this, this tall, a little bit wide. It's solid. I don't need a fucking large popcorn. But it used to be like stale popcorn that sat out.
So my movie theater,
hey, it's shit popcorn.
They just give you the bag, and there's a popcorn dispenser, and you just fill the bag up.
I've seen videos of that, and it's very interesting. So speaking of Furiosa, our lovely creator of the Metal Gear series recently went and saw the film and mentioned that after watching Furiosa, he could only see a specific character in this movie as Solid Snake in a film adaptation. And now people have just been going wild with, photoshops and trying to like do this when there is a Metal Gear film potentially in development. It's been in development for a long time, so I don't necessarily know that it's ever going to get made. But it's supposedly going to star Oscar Isaac as...
I think it's that Tom Burke guy. Tom Burke was really good. I mean, he didn't have a huge part in it, and I actually had no idea who he was until I looked him up yesterday after watching Furiosa. I was like, who the fuck is that guy? He looks familiar.
Yeah, he's not A-list, so it was a name I really didn't know at first.
He's even got, like, face paint over the top half of his face. It's like, man, this motherfucker looks like Solid Snake now that y'all bring that up.
And, I mean, but that would be such a good idea because I feel like video game adaptations, if you don't have this huge A-list star that's coming into the series, it gives you a lot. Obviously, from a money perspective, it gives you a lot of creativity that you can utilize that money elsewhere, or it prevents your film from being a bomb because you don't have to worry about paying your star $20-30 million.
Did y'all see the fucking budget for Star Wars Acolyte?
180 million?
180 million. It's like $22.5 million per episode. How are they going to make that money back? There's no fucking way.
So I don't understand how streamers quantify like the money that a show makes them. Like, okay, it brings in X amount of viewers, but how do you know that those viewers came to your service for that show? Like,
I mean, they have the numbers of how many people watch it. I think Netflix does it based on like they count each view as like 4 people because they're like, oh, it's a household, so it's like multiple people are watching it. It's not just one.
Yeah, well,
it's
honestly so much dog shit on Netflix.
Netflix just cancels the good shit, and we get another season of I Am Georgina. Like, I care what Cristiano Ronaldo's girlfriend's up to in her life.
I don't. I watch the same TV shows over and over, so I'm
Umbrella Academy's new season trailer should be coming out too.
Yeah.
And speaking of video game adaptations, I don't think I brought it up last time, but I'm sure you guys saw like the photo from the new Silent Hill movie with Pyramid Head.
I did.
Yeah, he's
boy's looking
pretty
jacked.
I can't wait for that. I love me Pyramid Head, obviously, so I am hyped for the next Silent Hill movie.
And
I'm it's the same director as the first movie, not the second one. So it sounds like he is going to be paying better homage to the games than what that monstrosity of Revelations was.
Isn't the first one with Sean Bean where he actually survives in one of the movies he's in?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's nice.
Silent Hill, the first movie, was like one of those few gems in the video game adaptation department where
it was pretty good.
yeah.
And it was successful. It was profitable. So it had a $50 million budget, which was pretty high
back then,
for especially for a horror film. But it made over $100 million. And
It's
then
what got me into Silent Hill. I'm gonna be honest. Like, as I'm like in middle school, I come across this Silent Hill movie, I watch it, it's like, oh, this is a game series, and I start getting into the games.
yeah, and so the second film, which was a lot worse than the first one, but had some very like famous people like Kit Harington, Carrie-Anne Moss, Sean Bean.
I think that was like one of his first movies too.
Yeah, so there's a lot of famous people. So that movie went from a $20 million budget and made $55 million. So again, both of those movies doubled their initial budget. That doesn't typically take into account marketing and other things like that. But these movies wouldn't have been super heavily marketed because they were rated R, horror films. That's just not typically something that you can go ahead and market super heavily. But also, Silent Hill Revelation was one of those movies that came out when they were really trying to bring back 3D, and so every effect and everything was kind of trying to take advantage of that, and it just obviously didn't work. But
take me back to the days of Spy Kids 3D. Have you tried rewatching that movie before?
No, I'll let you do that for me.
Speaking of star-studded cast,
yeah. But anyway, so
some movies now.
Yeah. This is
I went and saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I went and saw Furiosa, and both were dude. It's been a good year for moviegoers too, man.
Yes.
Like there's some really good shit. Like even like
nerds
there's been some
are just rejoicing.
Just been some small gems. Like I hate to say small because Henry Cavill's in it, but History of Ungentlemanly Warfare was really good.
It's just fun. Yeah,
like that one. Godzilla X Kong.
I didn't like that one. That's my least.
I enjoyed.
That's my least favorite one. I think besides the first one with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Really first Godzilla was really good.
I will say that like those films, they're just getting kind of more and more campy. Like as they continue along, I would like a little bit more of a serious tone, especially like that we got in like King of the Monsters. Like Ghidorah was this super imposing threat and just annihilate. Like it killed off one of the main characters in the first like 30 minutes of the movie.
Run me my Space Godzilla.
Give me Destroyer. Like we've already talked about the oxygen destroyer. So like the blueprint is already there to bring him in. So that's my hope. And the director of both Godzilla Kong movies is actually stepping away from the series. So
I didn't like the first Godzilla versus Kong as much, but I really enjoyed the second one.
I mean, I just like the fact that we got Mecha Godzilla in a modern Godzilla movie, which was cool. I'd love to see, Toho bring that into, some of the Japanese films. Like, obviously Shin and Godzilla Minus One, they're killing it over there. And they're doing it with a myriad of different directors, which is very, very cool. Last thing that I just wanted to talk about before we go ahead and close up shop tonight, college football. We've talked about this a few different times over the last few weeks. Well, so impressions are finally coming out. People have been able to play this game. Impressions are, I would say, pretty positive. There's a few negative things like the fact that you can't play as a high school player anymore on your, road to Dynasty, Road to Glory. There we go.
You get to choose what prospect level you are instead.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it is what it is.
Some people are going to do the 2-star prospect just for the challenge of it,
for the grind.
Of it. Yeah.
I'm probably going to do the 5. Just give myself like the option to start somewhere immediately and be able to work from there. But the impressions so far have been really good. It feels different from Madden, which is something that I was really hoping for. It's also like that also may just potentially be because like this year's Madden is, the one every like 3 to 4 years where they actually start, updating that kind of stuff. So interesting to see like what they're going to go ahead and do with this game. Obviously, everybody's hyped. We're only a few weeks away at this point. Like we are about
a month and
6 weeks. Yeah, 6-7 weeks away at this point. It's going to be an impressive. I would not be surprised if it ends up being the highest selling game of the year. Like that would not be an understatement at all. I don't think.
Madden content creators have always been funny to me because they've been bitching about this game series for years. But of course, they're still playing it because that's their bread and butter at this point. But they've always been making their gripes with the series known. And I think EA actually listened in this instance to make sure that college football is what it should be.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll have to go ahead and wait and see. Just wanted to touch base on that real quick, just before we go ahead and close out. You guys got anything else you want to touch on before we go ahead and
That's
shut this
it.
one
We
down?
did everything this episode. We had games, movies, Dick Cheney.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. We always appreciate our listeners. Just stay tuned. Obviously, we have a fun interview coming up here over the next few episodes, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Have a good one.
Thank you.